In the smoke, in the cold, I reload.
What is up, my frog army? It's your boy Kombat-Frog, and today we'll be interviewing Damon Wellner, the director and creator of Alien 5 and Alien 5 Squared. Check out his channel in the link below at probotanimation. Also, later on in the video, we'll be talking about a music video he's working on for a band called Replaced by Robots. Link in description. They're pretty awesome, so check them out. I just want to start off with telling you thank you for the movies you've done so far, the fan films. I personally enjoyed them a lot when I was a kid. I first found them on fanfilms.net, and ever since then, like, dude,
Fanfilms.net. Oh my God. I have
yeah,
a vague recollection of that. So that's where you first saw them?
that's where I first seen them. Yeah, and I was hooked from the moment like I first seen like the camera pan over the title. I loved it. I just got a real good kick out of it.
Of course.
How did you come up with the name and your title that you have for Probot Animation / production?
Oh, well, that's easy. Probot is it's a callback to one of my favorite toys from my childhood. Actually, hold on, let me grab something, I'll show you.
Oh, right on.
It's the Kenner Star Wars Empire Strikes Back turret and Probot playset. So
Oh,
see,
cool.
what I love and what has been always a huge inspiration for me. I mean, I love Star Wars, but equally to loving Star Wars is loving the Star Wars toys.
Yes.
And so, because, there's nothing like this particular toy line as far as like, the vast scale, just the amount of characters that you can collect, the rich world that you can create at home. And what has always been a huge inspiration for me is the gap between what you see on screen in the movies and what they actually released on, and you can kind of see this a little bit of the inner workings of, Kenner or Hasbro and what, because of course in the movie they call it the probe droid, but then this toy was called a probot, and it was like, oh, what's a probot? Is that
Oh.
different than a probe droid? And it's just because somebody at Kenner thought that it would sell better to call it a probot than a probe droid, because, who knows? Droid was too confusing of a word for kids. I don't really know. But, that word has always stuck with me. And so when I was coming up with a name for the company, that's what I chose. And I, I, I still have, I've got a probot still in the bag here at somewhere, but I don't have it right with me.
That's
But
really cool.
yeah. Well, and that brings up another. I mean, the reason that we did the Alien movie first, that was my first toy video that I did as an adult. I made toy videos as a kid, but this was the first time as an adult. Me and my friends were toy collectors. I don't watch sports. I don't like have a lot of the
Right
same
there.
interests as a lot of like normal people. So like I just, as an adult started collecting toys again. As first way back in the 90s, you kind of had to be closeted about it and not really like, you didn't know who was gonna think you were, nerddom hadn't become cool in any way, shape, or form back then. So you kind of had to keep it on the down low. I was working at a movie theater. I had a bunch of friends who were nerdy like myself, and turns out we all kind of loved collecting toys. And at that particular time, started releasing Star Wars toys again. There was a dark period between 1985 and 95 where there was no Star Wars toys, and that was what I call the dark times. But anyway, I started, collecting as many toys as I could get in the late, mid to late 90s. And back then there was a place called KB Toys where,
Yeah.
and right at the front of the store, they had the clearance bin. And so in the clearance bin at that particular time, you found all of the Aliens toys. and all of the Predator toys, like all this, the stuff that like they tried to sell it and it just kind of wasn't a big hit. I'm not really sure exactly, but at that particular time, all those toys were in the clearance bin. So it was like, oh man, just grab them all, and what I loved about that toy line is that gap I was referring to in from what you see on screen to what get in the toy line, because they didn't pay. I mean, me and my friends found it absolutely fascinating that they put out a toy line for kids about an R-rated movie that
Did
none,
that a
how,
lot.
how many kids even got to. I saw all the R-rated movies when I was a kid because my father owned a video store, but that's another story. Um, but like, it was fascinating that they put out this toy line. And so this is the Ripley. This was the inspiration for Alien 5 right here, because
Right on.
this toy, this is the card back for the Ripley figure. I've got Ripley right here and the power loader.
Oh, that's so
And
cool.
and but see, Hasbro didn't pay for the likeness of Sigourney Weaver, and so it's rumored that this person on the card back is just somebody who worked at Hasbro, some female employee who worked at Hasbro, that they did a little photo shoot of her or whatever, and so they called her Lieutenant Ripley, which she's not a lieutenant.
No.
What is he talking about? I don't even know. Special, so there's this little cutout here that you're supposed to like collect them all and like maybe have this little collection of little ID cards for your figures, and so it says Lieutenant Ripley trademark, specialty authorized power loader pilot, home planet Earth, background discovered and barely
Oh,
defeated first alien, survived several face-to-face alien encounters. Quote, the only good alien is a torched alien. And so we're like, well, wait a second. I've seen
wow.
the movies like a million times and she ain't never said that.
That's where you
and
got the line from for the second film then.
in the first one, she says it in both films.
She does. You're right. You're right.
But essentially, like, we wrote the whole idea for the whole premise of the thing was to give her an opportunity to say that line.
Nice.
And just because that just cracked us up so much. And so we called it Alien 5 because they'd made 4 Alien films, and it was easy to just take a marker and blacked out the S and took a silver marker and wrote a 5 on there and just went Alien
So that's
5.
the
So
original box.
this is the actual
Oh,
title
that's
box that
cool.
I did. And
There's
it's
actually
just,
there's something about the toys you might not know. They were actually wanting to do an animated series,
oh yeah, yeah, right. And they
and
have
the
the
toys
little
were to
cartoon.
yeah.
Well, and the other hilarious thing, right? They each of these toys came with a little comic book with a little bit of a story, and I have it here somewhere, but
I had no idea.
well, they were terrible. I mean, they're not worth anything,
Still,
but
it's
like
cool.
but the hilarious thing is that it's like the continuing story of Ripley and the Space Marines, and it's like, well, wait a second, I saw the movie and they're all dead. So what the hell are you even talking about, bro? It's like this. None of this makes any sense.
That's
And then
funny.
in the toy line itself, all the aliens. I mean, it was really cool because they had all these different aliens that were sort of like different species.
Yeah.
And but like here's one of them that I noticed that you took a liking to this green guy, right? And this was called
Yeah.
the mantis alien. So it always like made me crack up thinking of the tiny little
That's
face hugger that
cool.
must have like got onto a praying mantis. Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about?
That dude,
What are
that's
you even
awesome.
talking about, mantis alien? But it's like I loved how ridiculous it all got. It actually got a little couple of steps too ridiculous for me because they had like the king alien and stuff like that. And it's like, no, 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 no. I understand the lore of the film, and there's a queen, there's eggs, there's the face hugger, you understand the life cycle of the whole thing. We
Oh,
don't
yeah.
need this Hasbro version of whatever the heck you guys are doing to sell toys. It's like, and they had like a king face hugger or something. I don't know. They had some really ridiculous stuff that I couldn't go there. I couldn't go there.
No.
But anyway, we had a lot of fun just kind of like, using the ones that made sense to me. The bull alien is a great one with the horns and stuff. And
Yes, I
you know
noticed that you used, if I remember correctly, you used him twice. You
Well,
used
yeah,
him
because
in
I
the
mean, the
original.
bull alien was sort of enough like the regular like alien warrior that it didn't seem like it needed an explanation as to why it was there. It just was, but then like doing the sequel, we were able to like, have it having the queen escape in the woods. That gives it, reason enough for there to be just all sorts of alien snakes and mantis and whatever else. So,
I really enjoyed that too because, like, unfortunately, not a lot of alien movies. There's not a whole lot, but they don't do that. They don't
right. They haven't even
emphasis on that.
explored it. They
No,
haven't even explored it. Even in
they
this new,
explored it with the third one, with the dog alien, or
yeah,
depending on which one you watched, the cow alien.
right, right.
Um, but I wish that they would go deeper into that because that to me, I'm a creature guy. I love the creatures. If you have a good story and a good premise and it makes sense, oh, I'm on board. It don't matter how bad it looks or what, I'm on board.
Yeah, I can't say I was a big fan of the new Alien Earth series that came out last year, but if you notice, they essentially used the exact same poster art that I used like 25 years ago when I made, or 20 years ago when I made this film, because it was Earth cracking open like the egg,
Yes.
and so it was, I wonder if they saw my movie, but who knows? Who
They
cares?
might have. Honestly, I'm surprised that the movie hasn't gotten more traction than what it has, considering how big the fan base is.
Yeah, well, it's extremely yeah, it's niche is what it is.
Well, I think you did a
And
great
I mean
job.
like we made it, it's the whole thing is that we weren't back then, and even up till now, I try not to take myself too seriously. So we called the sequel Alien 5 Squared because the Alien 3, the little 3 looked like it was Alien Cubed. So we were like, okay, so if we were going to do a sequel to Alien 5, what are we going to call it? Alien 6? No, and so Alien 5 with the little 2 makes, made sense to me, even though nobody can read it properly as Alien 5 Squared. It's Alien 52. What is it?
I didn't even think of that.
Nobody even really knows what it is, but like it's technically what I call it is Alien 5 Squared. But I know that makes no sense because then it's Alien 25, and none of it makes any sense, but it's not supposed to. It's just supposed to be what it is, and it's just embracing the ridiculousness of that particular toy line and just having some fun with it, and trying to take it seriously within itself, and give her a reason to say, and try to like do a twist on, with the sequel we did a twist on the only good alien is a torched alien because she ends up being rescued by an alien, the predator, who
Yeah.
actually is, better off not torched in that
I
particular
love that
scenario.
I love that you had him talk and everything. Totally a callback to the first film. I loved that. Little stuff like that. I think it's
Well,
great.
and you detected that like there's a little noise that he makes when he's, because we had to put him in the room when she says the only good alien is a torch alien, so that he can play it back for her for
Yeah.
the ironic turnaround,
I did
and
notice that. I loved that because I was like, "Wait a
anyway,
minute, did you just hear that like 30 seconds ago?" So I even showed my wife, and my wife got a kick out of it too. She liked it. She thought it was fun.
nice. Well, thank you for sharing it with your audience, and helping it find some new traction, because it's so far in my past. It's literally half my life ago, and it's pretty crazy to think about that now.
Well,
Because
that
I've
actually,
never stopped. I've never stopped making movies with my toy collection, and I don't know if you know, but like the original, yeah. So the first one that we made, the internet wasn't even a thing hardly back then. It was just sort of coming around,
yeah,
and video. You couldn't even put videos on the internet back at that point, and I didn't have a computer at when we made that. We made it in 1998. It took 6 months to make, and I literally made it edited in camera. So I just had a VHS camera, and we
yeah.
thought it would be a fun challenge to make it in camera, like just every shot, shoot it in sequence, in camera, edit it in camera, and that, because back then, if I was going to edit it onto a second VCR, I would lose one generation of quality. And even that
Yes.
on VHS was so bad that, you know, I felt that it would be a smarter way to go, to just edit it in camera, which proved to be quite a challenge, because using a VHS camera back then, you know, you'd have to watch the previous take that you did, pause it at the right spot that you want, and then switch it over to record. And then like the heads would switch. So it would switch from the play head to the record head. And sometimes the tape would roll back a little bit or roll forward a little bit.
Oh.
And then, so then sometimes I would play it back and I would have cut off the end of my previous shot. And I'm like, oh no, oh man. So then I had to go back and do that shot over again. And so I was ending up, you know, going over the same tape over and over and over again sometimes, because sometimes it was really hard to get the shot right. And so you'll notice that there's some, when the first guy gets like chest bursted,
Yeah.
there's a little bit of a like the VHS, digital or video, noise, because it was starting to like get so bad that it was about to eat the tape.
Oh.
And so there's like lines across the screen from when like I had done it too many times. And then like almost at the end of the movie, when I was about done filming it, it actually did eat the tape. The video camera ate the tape. So then I had to transfer it all onto a second tape. So the whole plan of
Wow.
not losing that first generation was lost. And but at any point I could have stopped doing it in camera, but I never did. We did the whole thing in camera, in sequence, and that was just such a stupid but you know, it made sense at the time, just as a fun challenge to myself and just to try to keep it light and not like take it too seriously. But anyway, that's the story of that. But then there was no internet to release it on, so we released it on local cable, the community access channel.
Yeah.
Do you know what that is?
Yes, I
Yeah,
do.
yeah, okay, yeah. So right, so you could literally bring any videotape, anything that wasn't pornography, they would basically have to air. And so we gave them those tapes, and like we made several different shows with my toy collection. We made a show called Farah with the my wife wrote that one with the Farah and Cher dolls. It was very adult,
Hmm.
oriented, like it was very dark humor is what I could
Dark
say.
humor is always fun.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why we killed all the kids. Like everything Ripley tries to do, she's not able to save anyone. Everyone
No.
dies and she's barely able to save herself. And so, and I made a Star Wars one, and I made Farah, and I made the Alien one. And so that ended up showing on local cable. And then we actually got contacted by a company, and I got hired to make videos for Hasbro with their Star Wars toys the very next year. So in like the year 2000 or 1999 and 2000, they sent me a whole bunch of toys, the brand new Power of the Force toy line. I got a B-Wing, I got a TIE Fighter, a TIE Interceptor, I got all this free stuff. And I was able
Dude.
to make the official Star Wars toy version of Star Wars, Star Wars in 3 minutes it's called. You can still watch it on my channel.
I'll check it
But
out.
like, but when we released it on the internet, it was like this big, and it was on Real Player, and like you could blow it up to full screen, but it was such bad quality that like I've lost the original like full high quality
Oh.
version of most of the shots. And so like the version that you have, the version that's online now, I've had to replace the music, even though like they tied our hands behind our back for that job, because they said I wasn't allowed to do anything original. I was only allowed to recreate scenes. Um, I wasn't allowed to use any of the dialogue, but I was allowed to use music and sound effects. So anyway, I mean, we had fun with it. It was an amazing job. It was one of the best jobs I ever had. But there was all these limitations to what we were allowed to do. But we made the best of it, and I'm very proud of what we were able to do. But unfortunately, it didn't continue on. It wasn't a big enough hit, because video wasn't as big a thing back then on the internet, and I wasn't hired to, even though I like proposed all this other, all this other stuff for the 30th anniversary of Empire Strikes Back. Back then it was only 30 years old, and or maybe it was on 20th anniversary. Holy crap! Oh my god. Anyway, we won't even. Yeah, it was the 20th anniversary.
I remember the when the VHSs came out, you had the gold version and the silver version, and my mom was obsessed with those at the time. So I remember that was my when I seen Star
Oh,
Wars,
you
that's
mean
how I
like the
seen it.
special editions, or like the
Yes.
VHSs?
The VHS special editions, there was
Oh,
gold and there was silver, and one was widescreen, the other was full screen.
oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
dude, that was my first introduction to Star Wars, and I'm not a huge fan. I would say that if I were to watch it again, I'd probably watch 3 and then straight to the original trilogy, and then I stop. I love those. Anything the other stuff, some of it's good. I liked like the Han Solo film. I thought it was decent. The Rogue One, oh dude, that one was great. I thought they did a great job with that.
Yeah, we're on the same page on that. I saw Star Wars first on the drive-in theater because my father didn't want to pay, so we actually pulled to the side of the road and watched it. And you could tune into the station to get the
Oh,
audio.
cool.
And so we were like there, parked on the side of the road watching it. And but then my father actually was a visionary. He opened one of the first video stores in the entire country in 1979, so before anybody had VCRs. And so I had a bootleg copy of Star Wars that was filmed in a theater. Like,
Cool.
I didn't even know it was a bootleg. I didn't know what bootlegs were, but this was before Empire Strikes Back came out. I had Star Wars at home to watch. And so I just watched it over and over and over and over and over again. And I watched the making of Star Wars over and over and over and over and over again, which was shown on cable or something. So anyway, like, that was my, and Hardware Wars. You know what Hardware Wars is?
Sounds so familiar. I think that was an old fan film or whatnot.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
the, like,
I have
essentially the
seen
first
that.
fan film, and it was, like they had TIE fighters that were pieces of toast coming out of a toaster,
Yes.
and like an iron
Yes.
for the Millennium Falcon and stuff, and it's absolutely brilliant, and still holds up to this day. And like they had a Cookie Monster that was brown, like dyed brown as the Wookiee monster, and Princess Leia had buns on the side of her head. The Cookie Monster ate the buns.
I
I
gotta
mean,
check
just
that out.
so yeah. I mean, like that was such a huge influence on me. Like I think I just never. That was what I aspired to, was to make Hardware Wars. And that's essentially my entire life is
That's
trying to live
awesome.
up to Hardware Wars.
One of the you're talking about Star Wars. I gotta mention this. There was one of the fan films that I really enjoyed was called Troops,
Oh
and it
yeah, yeah, Kevin
yeah,
Rubio. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
dude,
I'm
that
friends with him. I mean, we've been in touch and we have mutual respect. I mean, that Troops and Hardware Wars are the best two fan films ever made, in my opinion. And
oh, Troops was
like I
amazing.
just absolutely love both of those, and yeah, have nothing but respect for Kevin Rubio. Anyway, I could go on and on and on about Star Wars, but
Yeah,
that's
we're on Aliens, so but it's
yeah, yeah.
okay. I like talking about Star Wars as well, so it's all good. The next question actually I have is second. I got a list right here, so I don't have to bother with it on the computer. We got that one. So you did talk about where you got the toys and whatnot, but I'm wondering roughly how much did it cost to make? Because you did say it took, I think you said like a week or 6 weeks
No,
to
it
make.
took 6 months to make the first one.
6 months. Oh,
Yeah, we did it between April and September of 1998, and it cost maybe $150. I don't even know, like barely anything.
wow.
And then, then the sequel took a year and a half to make, like 18 months, over 2003 to 2004 we released it, and that was, maybe double the production costs. I mean, I always work with I call it micro budget, meaning like zero. I want to spend basically $0. And up to this day, the current, I'm working on a music video right now, and the budget is like, the materials budget is we have barely maybe crossed $250, maybe
It's not bad.
300. And but it's absolutely, well, I can get into it a little later, but I'll tell you about that at the end of this. But yeah, but I love working with no budget because it just requires that extra level of creativity. And I just love, I'm just a, I just never throw, I'm a almost a hoarder when, like, I never throw anything out. As you can see, like, I still have the box from the toy from, 30 years ago. And, like, I collect, the lids off of the salt shaker that Trader Joe's sells. That's a little circular piece of clear plastic, because I always knew that I was going to make something with circular windows, and I'm finally able to use those in my latest project. But, like, I just always love when the answer to my query, because I'm just so disorganized. If I show, I'm too embarrassed to show you my living situation,
You're
because it's
fine.
just bins and crap all over the place. But I always love when I'm able to be like, well, maybe that would work. And I'm able to reach over and be like, huh, this little piece of random plastic could work for what I'm doing right now. And I can't tell you how many times that has come into play, because I am I'm not much of a planner. I'm a doer. And so, like, the first Alien film, we didn't have a script. We just had ideas, and like, I took charge of the visuals, and, like, would go and film stuff mostly by myself, but then sometimes when I would need an extra set of hands, and I would bring other people in to help with the shots. But my creative partner at the time, was Sebastian O'Brien. Goes by Sebastian Bendix now, but back then, Sebastian O'Brien. And we were in a music band together. We worked together at the movie theater. So a bunch of creative types were working at the movie theater, and that's how I got my group of creative friends. And I wasn't much of a musician, but I joined his band, and then deciding to make toy movies became kind of my thing, where I was able to, use my creativity to its fullest. And so I got Sebastian to help me on my project. So he took over the job of doing the audio. And so he would write the dialogue and stuff. Usually after I filmed the scene, he would
Oh,
write dialogue to match it. And, like, that's why there's really the story, it's just whatever. There's
I
nothing.
love it. I
Yeah, but
honestly, I think it's great. Even if it was, just winging it, I think that you guys did great because it's a good story in my opinion. It's easy to follow, it's simple, and it's not too difficult to like, get the gist of it. So I thought you did great.
well, thanks. And Sebastian did a great job with the audio, but
Oh
again,
yeah.
he was recording on he had a 4-track machine, because he was a musician. So he had this, like, home 4-track thing, so you could, record 4 tracks onto the same cassette tape, just an old
Ooh.
regular cassette tape. And so, but then he would, I think you could stack them after you, like, made a certain number of, after you made 4 tracks, you could, like, squeeze it onto one track and then open up 3 more tracks. And
Yeah. I guess we'll just move on. I do have next question. I have up to like 13 here. We don't have to answer them all though. But I am curious. The small carrier that you used to go into the docking bay in the first one,
oh yeah, you guessed right. That's a pet carrier. Yeah, I have
dude,
cats, and that was
I loved that. I'm not gonna lie. I personally, when I first seen that, I was laughing in a good way because I was like, that's great, dude. You're going onto a pleasure cruiser through a pet carrier. That's great.
well, and because to me, I always look at everything, any object, I kind of look at it as to what it could be when I use it in a miniature world, or
Yeah.
what on their scale something could be. So that was that. Oh, and I saw you you wondered about the med lab. The med lab
Yeah.
was was a bread box. So a metal bread box, and I don't even know if people know what bread boxes are, but it's like some little box in your fridge that you keep your bread in. It's a bit just a metal box with some holes in it that I guess was supposed to keep your bread from going stale too quickly. I'm not really even sure, but we had a bread box, and I saw it. I was like, you know what? There's my med lab, because the holes in it allowed me to shine a red light behind it, and the red light was just a red bulb that I'd stolen from the movie theater I worked at, because it used to just shine red lights on the, or colored lights on the screen. And
Is that what those dots are on in the background? The
yep,
little
those
red
are just
dots?
the holes in the metal, and shining a red light through it, because
Wow.
and there's bubble wrap on the wall, right?
I did notice that. I think though that you taking something and being like it the bread box and turning it into something else, that's awesome because not many people have that that ability to be able to look at something and see something completely different. So I
That's
think that's awesome
what
that
I'm
you were
told.
able to do that.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of stuff like that. Um, Actually, I have a prop here from, this has been messed with a little bit, but this right here, this is part of um, the nuclear
The thing that blows up
bomb in
in the
Alien
second
Five
one?
Square. Huh? Yeah,
That's the thing
yeah.
that blows up, right?
And you know what? This is, I got this, I rescued this from the trash I worked at 2003 when I was making that film. I had moved here to Hollywood. The first films we made back in Boston, and then I moved out to LA, and I got a job at Fantasy 2 Film Effects, and that
Oh,
is an Academy Award winning effects company, where the guys who made Terminator and Terminator 2, so they did the original stop motion work for Terminator and Terminator 2, and in and it was the most amazing job, one of the most amazing jobs I've ever had. I was just a PA, so I would just sweep up the sawdust for the model makers that were making. We were working on Hellboy, Punisher, and Resident Evil 2,
ooh.
Apocalypse. And so in the front dumpster outside of this place, this was in an industrial area of uh, North LA, and where there was just like car chop shops around and stuff. Like, it wasn't even used by the industry. So these guys just had their little workshop there in this like totally dirty part of town. Um, uh, and so in the front dumpster was the nitro truck that splits open in Terminator 2 and spills out all of the whatever
Liquid metal stuff, like
the
the
well,
yeah.
it spills the frozen stuff
Yeah,
onto the
that's
liquid
right.
metal, and he freezes and breaks, right? So
It's been a little while.
yeah, yeah. But so that dumpster, I mean, that truck was just sitting there open to the elements in the front dumpster outside. And like, so I would go out and bring the trash out and be like, well, there's the truck. And I like couldn't even believe it. And like, all scattered throughout this workshop was stuff from these guys. These were the guys, not only were they from the Terminator, but this was a dynasty of effects guys. Gene Warren Jr. was the guy I worked for, and his father was Gene Warren Sr., who won the first special effect Oscar for The Time Machine back in the 60s. Then his son wins the best special effects award for Terminator 2. And so like they had a Terminator in a case. Oh, and but they got their start making the stop motion dinosaurs for the Land of the Lost TV show.
Oh my
So
god, I love that, dude. That was a good show.
right, but in so on the windowsill where we would have lunch, there was one of the little trees from Land of the Lost, and I was like,
Huh.
"Oh my god!" So I just like kind of quietly took it and I brought it home. I didn't even ask permission. I brought it home, and it's in Alien Five Squared. There's a tree from Land of the Lost. When the alien first breaks through and escapes into the wilderness, there's a
Yes.
tree right outside
Yes.
the lab, and it's a tree from Land of the Freaking Lost. And I brought it back. I didn't steal it outright. I just borrowed it for the weekend and
That's
used it.
so cool.
Brought it back, put it back in the windowsill. Nobody ever knew. But this artifact. So I was rescuing stuff from the trash all the time from there, because we would just build sets and then blow them up. And so this was a missile or something like that from the Triple X Vin Diesel movies or something.
I
There's
know
like
of
some
them.
sort of a missile that flies through the air or something, and this is that. And so I
Cool.
rescued that. I rescued some pieces of just random pieces of like uh this is just a piece of plywood that's covered in like fake cement that was part of the Hellboy set. And so I
Cool.
used it for like my Batman video and had the Batmobile do these tire tracks on it. But
Cool.
I had I've got anyway, I've got a whole bunch of pieces that I've ended up using for the last 25 years in my sets to help, build my production values just by using the scraps from the trash from the special effects house that I was working at.
That's awesome. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie,
so
that's like a dream to me. I mean, Terminator was one of those that really like I resonated with that as a kid, especially the first one. That first one is, in my opinion, is just a masterpiece. It was
absolutely,
so good.
absolutely. Well, yeah, I got into I kind of stuck my foot in my mouth by like bringing up my issues with the time travel theories where the second one doesn't really mesh with the first one.
Yeah.
And like the first one, I love the first film because it's a perfect loop. And
Yes.
like even Skynet didn't know that by sending the Terminator, they would have won if they hadn't sent the Terminator at all.
Dude,
They would have just,
absolutely.
and so they didn't know that they set off the chain of events that led to their own destruction. And then, but if you think about it and how the second film sort of opens up that time loop and all that, it kind of ruins the whole thing. But if you think about it, the way that they then spin the story in the second one, they based the they based the technology for Skynet on the arm and the chip that they found
Yes.
in the wreckage from the first one. So no human ever actually came up with the technology for the Terminators or for Skynet.
True.
It's God. God just inserted that into our world because no human ever came up with it. So I mean, and it also it like reverses the whole philosophy. And I got into I felt like I almost got fired because I really insulted Gene Warren Jr., my boss, by like bringing this up because I was like, well, how did James Cameron ever know if his whole philosophy was that you can change the future, because the philosophy of the first film is that if you try to change the future, you're just going to play into fate. You don't even know, but you're playing into fate. And so you shouldn't even try to change the future because you're going to just end up whatever. But the second one, so I was like, how did he know he was going to be able to make a second film if his actual message was that you can change the future and that you should try to change the future? And the guy, he got so mad. He was so mad at me. But anyway, you got to be careful what you say to these Hollywood types, man.
Yeah, I've never worked for Hollywood or anything like that, but I can only imagine I'd probably have a couple open mouth insert foot moments. So, oh man, that's awesome. Honestly, that to me that would be a dream job, just to be able to sweep up the stuff and just take it
Well,
to the
there was
trash or
literally an
whatever. That would
HK.
be awesome.
There was an HK robot on the floor. It kind of reminded me of my own mess here in my own lab because there was hunter killer robot.
Yep,
There were ones that like
those are the
flew
ones that
through the
fly.
city. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And so it was just sitting there on the floor. There was no proper place for it. It was maybe it was supposed to be on a shelf somewhere, but it was just on the floor, and everybody was too busy to put it somewhere. It wasn't protected in any way, and there was
No.
just all this history all over everywhere you looked. There was
Ah,
just like little tidbits of stuff, and it was like, wow, I am like in a real magical, a place of true magic. And
heaven.
yeah, like absolutely, man, it was a total dream job. Total
That
dream job.
sounds
And we
like
would
it.
just build stuff and blow it up, and like what better job to have.
I agree. I
there's some
agree.
there's some behind the scenes videos that you'll never see the footage anywhere else other than my channel from the video that I took because everyone else was too busy. So I just brought my same video camera that I was making Alien 5 Squared with at home. I would
Mhm.
bring to work and film the sets that we were blowing up. And there's some footage from Hellboy that got cut because we took a month to build this entire set that ended up didn't not being used because the dust blew up too much. It might have been my fault for not watering down the mulch on the set, and it ended up blowing out the cameras before the explosion got captured properly or
Oh
whatever. Anyway,
man.
there's this whole scene that never got used in Hellboy that we took a month to build.
Oh no.
This whole like, yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Hellboy
um,
is one of my favorites. I'm a big Ron Perlman fan. I think he's a great actor. One of the first films I actually seen him in was you might not have heard of it. It's called Primal Force. He fights
nope,
he
haven't seen that one.
oh, it's good. It's very difficult to find. You're not going to find good copies.
Well,
It sucks.
Guillermo del Toro showed up one time at the set when we were working, and he gave me a big hug as as the PA, as the lowly
Dude.
PA. He cared enough to, like, to show me that love, and I was just happy to, I was just so happy to be there among these geniuses, literally a
Yeah.
dynasty of special effects geniuses. So anyway, huge inspiration on me working at that place,
Wow.
because they don't do it like that anymore. I mean, miniatures have kind of made a comeback, and
I
but
think they need to do more. I truly do. I think that you can do so much more with miniatures and less people will get hurt. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a practical effect guy. I would love to see practical effects over CGI
oh, totally, me
all
too, man,
day.
me too.
I admire practical effects because it's like, wow, they took not only the time, they did the effort, look at the detail. I mean, I'm big on practicals, so I like
Yeah,
older
well,
films. I really do. I've watched a lot of low budget stuff and stuff that some people are like, "You like that?" And it's like, "Yeah. Do you not
yeah,
see the effort they put into this film? Absolutely, I love this film." So,
yeah, yeah.
but
Um,
let's go ahead and go on to
yeah,
the
yeah,
next question if you don't mind.
yeah, sure.
No, you're good, dude. You're good. Like I said, I'm enjoying the
I
conversation and it's
ramble a
good
lot,
times.
man.
No, dude, I do too. It's all good. So, I did have a question about the programmer in the very first Alien 5 you did. That little, it looks like an egg. What toy is that?
It's the Mork from Ork egg.
Is it?
It's
Okay, I was like, "What
so it
is
said we
that?"
had to, like, not show that it says Mork from Ork egg ship right on. It says it right on there.
I
It's
have
like
not I haven't
not
seen a whole lot
removable.
of it, but I had no idea. That's
And so I have a little
awesome.
piece of plastic glued in there for the window
Yes.
because there was no window on there initially. But look, he's got little controls there. He's
Oh, that's cool.
and I don't know where Mork is. He's around here somewhere,
As a
but
kid, it
I
did
had to
register.
I had to draw the eyes on there because they never paint. They were cheap. They cheaped out on the toy, and like the actual original Mork toy just has a blank face, and he just has blank eyes. So
I
I
didn't
had to,
know.
like, draw in some pupils. I tried to make him Kenner like with a little Sharpie pen,
You know
and
what?
so
I
he
didn't
didn't.
even notice.
And we
That's
don't even
awesome.
see him in the first film. You don't even know that he's Mork. And then we were
No.
like, you know what? In the sequel, Mork gets to live again.
Dude, that's
And
awesome. That is awesome.
yeah, so but we called him Dr. Mork. And then, like, there was some custom. The other guy was, we called him Dr. Renault because I used one of the action figures from Godzilla and cut its head off and put it on, like, a Star Wars character.
Yeah.
So it's a Star Wars figure with Jean Renault's head. So we called him, Dr. Renault, and he spoke only French because he's a French actor. So we tried
Nice.
to, like, honor the real people that we were stealing from or whatever to some degree.
You were borrowing. It's not stealing, it's borrowing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and it didn't have to make sense. So he just speaks French and then he dies real quick.
It's awesome. I have another question actually. Are there any deleted scenes for any of these films?
No, well, like I said, man, the first one we shot in camera, so, like, you're seeing what I mean. The version that's online has been trimmed just a little bit because when I did the digital transfer, I was able to finally, like, help with the pacing a little bit because it's really, when I watch it, I am just, like, cringing at how slow and how, like, oh my god, it's just, oh my god, yeah, all I see are the mistakes. But
Because you're the
so
creator.
yeah, yeah. But so what you're seeing there, I mean, because the original version, some of the audio didn't quite sync up because like I was saying before, Sebastian recorded it on his 8-track or his 4-track, and so it was never quite synced up. Like one time, like he would press play on the video and like try to sync it up as best he could, but then sometimes certain things were synced up and other things were missing, or not quite synced up. And so when we made the final, marriage of the audio and the video, um, not everything quite synced up. So then when I finally, did it on digital and uploaded it to YouTube, I trimmed a couple of things and added one, I think, digital transition that was not in the original cut. But there's no extra scenes. Everything that you see is what we shot. And I mean, but in the second one, we at least had a script that we were going with, and the story was planned out. I was saying, I don't plan much, and we didn't really storyboard, and we didn't. I just kind of have ideas in my head visually, and I just can't wait to start shooting. So I just start building the set and can't wait to turn that camera on and start filming. And sometimes that bites me in the ass later, but I think if you over plan, you can just plan and plan and plan and plan and never get around to filming if you're that type of filmmaker. And I've always been the opposite, and just be like, dive in head first and figure it out as you go, because to me that opens up the creative channels that you didn't even know that you were going to need, because like you don't necessarily know all of the obstacles you're going to run into, but then the solutions end up often being these serendipitous magic solutions that turn out, like, in the end, most of the things I've done have turned out better than what I planned in my head. So, and I've hardly ever had to make compromises and not be able to accomplish what I was hoping to accomplish. So, that, I just, the planning, I'm not, I don't write a lot of stuff down. I just dive right in.
Well, hey, we're all different. That's what makes the world go round. So, also, okay, this one's for me. I'm a slime guy, so I gotta know, were there any, for the first film, I noticed, I thought you might, I felt like you wanted to use more slime. Now, I could be wrong, but, if there were you, like, short on materials to do the slime, or was that just a creator, what's the word I wanna use, choice?
Well, I mean, yeah, there was more slime in the second one, because I'm pretty sure that slime wasn't necessarily easy to come by at that point. It made sort of a comeback by the time we were doing the sequel, and
Mhm.
that's where there was some of those eggs. They
Yes.
they sold slime in these eggs. I've still got a bunch of those eggs around, but
Oh.
I don't remember what it was. Just some random company that just made slime that was sold in these slime eggs, and so that's how we got the slime for the second one. Because they 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 sold some slime with some of the aliens toys, like
Mhm.
the queen playset had slime that came with it that you could drop down through, and it was supposed to.
Were you talking about the one that had the big egg sack in the toy? Where she's, like,
Yeah.
in her, okay,
Mhm.
I know what toy you're talking. I've seen it
Yeah,
one
I
time. I did notice that you used, in the second film, you used one of my a toy that I actually owned as a kid, which was the Luke Skywalker in that, the water container thing,
the
where
back to
you
tank, yeah.
yeah, where you had to blow into the straw. Dude, when I seen that, I was like, "I have that toy." Now I'm like, "I had it." So
I'm at a point where I'm able to finally let some of my toys go, which is kind of liberating. But anyway,
you
you
get to
know
see other people enjoy it as much as you did too, so that's
that
the
is
good
true.
thing.
That is true.
Well, I'll have one more question and then we'll call it.
Sure.
So, a question that a lot of fans ask, why is there not an Alien 5 Part 3?
Yeah, that I mean, I've got a lot of requests for it, and I feel bad that I haven't been able to follow through with that. But I mean, well, I'll tell you, there's one thing. I mean, one of the reasons that we did this film in the first place was I wanted to make Star Wars videos, but I wasn't doing stop motion back then. We did everything with video, as I've been saying. But what one special feature with these Kenner Aliens toys is that the legs are connected to the head, so you can do the head turns just by, you know, using
What?
the so that's what made that so appealing. That's why we decided to go ahead and do aliens movies, essentially, was because of that. You know.
That I didn't even
And
know. I honestly, I thought you guys were like moving the heads, so that's
well,
awesome.
yeah, well, I mean, none of it's stop motion. There's a couple of tricks that we used. Like there was a shot where the the face hugger is attacking Ripley,
Yeah,
and the thing goes around her neck, and that was a reverse shot, similar to the
Evil
it's
Dead with the eye.
well, and the original trash compactor scene in Star Wars, where
Oh,
the where Luke gets wrapped up in the tentacle. That's a reverse shot.
I did not know
So
that.
it's just I filmed it normal and then reversed it, and because so anyway, um
That's
so
awesome.
I tried as much as I could in Alien 5 and Alien 5 Squared to like try to do stuff where she would come in being held underneath, and then I reach up and grab her, and so then you see the full body, but you don't hopefully see the hands.
No.
So I did that as much as I could throughout the story, like with as many characters as I could. So look out for that if you watch it again.
I saw some hands in there, and I get a
Ah,
kick out of it. I no, 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 let me tell you
I'll have
something.
to
When I
re-edit
see
that.
that, I literally I'm like, "This is great," because you know that it's done from a fan, and they're doing their best that they can, and even if you see a little hand, I think it makes it that much more genuine, you know? It's not nothing's ever gonna be perfect, but I think the movie 1 and 2 are very good. I think that you did a great job with the first one, and you're right, the
Well,
second one is a lot better, but I enjoy them both equally.
and we you know there were some ideas kicking around for a third one, because what I would do if I ever eventually get around to doing a third one is that, I mean, see, the thing is, spoiler alert, she ends up down in the nuclear bunker with just chimpums because Cindy dies. So
Newt.
all of her attempts to save Cindy are foiled in the end. But so then she's stuck down there with chimpums who she hates.
Yeah,
She hates chimpums. And so I love that idea that they're stuck down there for 5 years. So then when they emerge from the nuclear shelter 5 years later, the world has been completely taken over by aliens. All the people are dead, and it's just her and Chimpums having to, like, fight them and their children. So then it would give birth to the planet. I would use Planet of the Apes figures as like the
yes.
children, because they'd be the hybrid human
Yeah.
ape. So that was the idea that was sort of kicking around, but it never really got past that. We
That
never really
that
even
sounds
developed
like it
it,
would be
but
fun.
it would be fun, but like I kind of had to move on and do other stuff. I was sort of in, I'm more into Star Wars, so like I've been, and stop motion. Like 10 years ago, I took a class at Stupid Buddy where they make robot chicken, and
Love that. Love
so
Robot
that's
Chicken.
how I learned how to. Because back then, when we were making this, Seth Green was just starting out doing stop motion with toys before Robot Chicken. He did a series of sketches online with, I don't even know what it was, but we were featured in the same magazine.
Oh,
And so I was like, everybody always said like, oh, you should do it with stop motion, but I wasn't brave enough to even try stop motion because I was a real critic of bad stop motion. And even in like RoboCop 2, like I kind of cringe at the stop motion, because I mean I feel bad for the guys back then. They didn't have the technology that we have now, where you can onion skin and you can see what you're doing and layer over the previous frame, and like really line things up properly, and then everything's all digital, so you can watch what you're doing as you're doing it. Before, they had to send it out and look at the get it all developed and see how it came out and do it all again if it didn't come out right. And so anyway, I was not brave enough to even try stop motion, and I didn't have the equipment to do it, to be honest, until like 2010 or something. I bought a proper like DSLR stills camera, and then it was 5 years before I took a class at Stupid Buddy, learned how they did it. And, it was sort of like embracing the enemy, because I was sort of like, I would never be able to do it as well as those guys could do it. So I'm just going to keep doing it on video. So all of my videos were done on video with live action and puppetry effects, puppetry techniques. And, you know, until I, converted, and now I do everything with stop motion. And so that's what I've been doing for the past 10 years. And I'm just totally hooked on stop motion, because that allowed me to basically, now I do everything just by myself. The more complicated of a thing that you needed to do, the more friends you needed to have come in and help you out and do this and that. And it was really hard because none of my friends were puppeteers. So, it was always very, it all, it came out, it was what it was. But like, I'm happy now to be doing stuff with stop motion, because it really like allows me to do everything that I want to do.
That's
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
I
So,
think I just have I gotta ask one more.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, okay,
And I
hold
won't
on.
tell you what I'm working on now.
I'm actually curious now. Uh, okay, here we go. This is a good one. Was there anything that surprised you about how the fans reacted to your Alien 5?
Well, I mean, I am surprised that people like you still can enjoy it after all this time, because to me, like I said, like all I see are how low-fi it is. And, you know, back then I was, for me, it was all about going bigger, like just like absolutely taking it way further than anybody would expect you to take it, to do a 30-minute toy film, where people back then, even back then, were saying, well, why don't you just do short videos? And I was like, why would anybody want to see a short video with toys? Because that hardly takes any effort. And like, why would you be impressed? And that was before Vine and stuff made 8-second videos like a thing, and like people's attention spans. I thought that going bigger was better, but then it took a year and a half to make Alien 5 squared. So then I had to rethink things. And anyway, I now make much shorter videos. But like, what I'm surprised at is that people care more about Alien 5 and Alien 5 squared than they do about the stuff that I'm making now, which is like, I've never actually broken through and had a truly viral video. And that's really kind of upsetting, to still be sort of struggling on the lowest possible level. And, it's, so, I mean, I love that people love the old stuff, but I wish people would see what I've been up to lately, because it's a lot better. There's like, I've got a compilation of 10 years worth of my Star Wars stop motion videos, which I highly recommend that people check out, because I put in so much effort into special effects, and stuff that it's way better than the stuff I was doing way back then. Though I'm proud of what I did back then with what I had to work with back then. But you know, please check out my current stuff, because it's way better.
I will definitely check out some of that, and I'll definitely ask my followers to check some of that stuff out too. Because I mean, with what you did long from there to what you're doing now, I mean, if what you did back then was, in my opinion, gold, that's literally what I said in the video. I called it gold. Then I can only imagine what you're doing now. I did see your the video you did send me, the Mandalorian in the Jawas. That
Yeah,
was
yeah.
awesome. I liked
That's a
that.
shot for shot. I don't know if you haven't watched that show. It's a shot.
I have not.
It's almost shot for shot for one of the best sequences from the second episode of the first season, where Mandalorian takes on some off-world Jawas. And so yeah, you should. I would recommend just watching that. I mean, I should release a video that shows their version versus my version, because
Like a comparison?
it's pretty gosh darn close, considering my budget was, again, nothing, like $30, $50. I mean, obviously I've spent a lot of money over the years on my toy collection, so that's the biggest expense. But as far as my materials for my special effects and stuff, I'm usually holding a flashlight and doing and a laser pointer,
I noticed the laser pointer in the second Alien Square, and I loved how you used it. Oh, I think you used it with Mr. Chimpums and his when he talks, and then
Oh yeah, yeah.
when you use the laser to like make it look like it was opening up the hatch. I thought that was really smart because I'm
Yeah,
thinking
well,
to
I used to
myself,
have a smoke machine,
oh,
so that was an easy way to make the beam show up.
it was
I'm
cool.
gonna use my laser pointer effect in my next project, which is a music video. But for that, I don't have my smoke machine anymore, so I'm literally gonna have to turn on my shower and and steam up my bathroom and film some stuff in my bathroom with
Whatever
the laser
works.
pointer shooting through the steam.
That's awesome. You
But
gotta, you gotta do what you gotta do with what you got.
you gotta, yeah, man. There's always a cheap solution to any filmmaking. There's just always an easy solution if you just think, if you just open your mind to think about how you could possibly get it done. Um, Let me quickly show you what I'm working on right now
Yeah.
is a music video for the most amazing band. I love them so much. It's some old friends of mine from Boston. The Boston music scene is where like all this was born, and many of us moved to LA. Some of these folks did not move to LA. So this is a band called Replaced by Robots, and it's my good friend Heather Morgan is co-directing this music video with me. She's in the band, and it's and so Replaced by Robots is the name of the band. And so for the music video, I have built a bunch of robots, and I'm going to show you one right now. This guy is called G001KZN because he is the robot version of the lead. One of the leaders of the band is Dave Gulkazian, and that's his name. So this is the robot version of Dave Gulkazian.
That
And
is so cool.
this is, he's sort of, you can see he's kind of loosely based on a vintage amp,
Oh yeah, I can see that.
a guitar amp, and a speaker. It's literally the speaker from my
Oh,
for my
from that
stereo
guy?
system.
All right, on.
I see people like um posting on Reddit. Do you remember these Iowa, you know, stereos? And I'm like, well, I'm still using mine. And like it's like people, so I just have my old, you know, obsolete equipment. But anyway, it still provides inspiration for me because the speaker looks like a face. So I was like,
It
hey,
does.
and so this
Dude,
is
that's cool.
him, and he's got his legs are from the Lost in Space remake, movie remake, and then the what he's got here is a tank. And here, let me turn on his lights.
Light turns
See,
on.
he's just like made
Cool.
out of foam and printed out photographs, and he's got a tank there with a brain inside.
Oh, cool.
And
I see the
so
brain.
the brain comes from Micronauts. It's from a Micronauts set of glow in the dark brain robots. And
Cool.
and so I've got it set up with fiber optic fibers there. And so when I put a laser pointer on the back here, I've got a pen that I've broken in half, and like I've used the pen to sort of corral the fiber optics, and so I can shoot a laser
Oh,
pointer
cool.
into the brain. And I don't know if you can see it.
We could see it a little bit.
If I
Yeah.
shoot it just right, the brain lights up
Oh, yep, yep. It's
in
lighting up. That's
in
cool.
little spots. And this tank I can fill it with water. The little triangle is
Yeah,
taken from laser tag equipment that
I remember
was
those.
also from the KB Toys clearance bin, because I wasn't able to get into laser tag when it was a big popular thing. But when it started to fail, all that stuff ended up in the clearance bin at KB Toys, and I was able to buy like the big machine gun laser tag super gun, and the hats and like all the gear. So me and my college age friends got into laser tag at the very tail end of things. And anyway, I've still got all that crap lying around and broke it apart. And
The arms look
to
like the tentacles from the Matrix Sentinel.
the arms are from a Spider-Man play set, so I had
Doc
to buy a
Ock.
second one to get the second arm because I only
Oh.
had one. And the weird thing is they're a little different. It seems like they were made um, at either a different
Oh.
warehouse or a different manufacturer, or something different about
Yeah.
them, because these ones are sort of like extended, where this
Mm-hmm.
one is compressed.
I
But
see
yet they're
that.
from the same exact playset, just made differently. And his
Interesting.
eyes are from laser pointers, and so this
Cool.
guy shoots lasers out of his eyes.
Oh,
um
I think that my viewers are gonna love this music video that you're gonna do, dude. This looks awesome.
it's about halfway done. We're in, like I said, it's super low budget, and the robots are the stars, and I can't really say any more than that.
That's
I
absolutely
haven't
fine.
even, you're breaking the news. I haven't even announced that I'm going to announce it this week. I'm going to release a little teaser video on on my channels this coming week. But
Right on.
right now, you're the first person to even know about all this stuff
If you
as
like,
far as the public goes. No,
if you
you
like,
can.
I'm not gonna
No,
post
no,
this
you can post it.
immediately. Are you
You can
sure?
post it. Yeah, yeah, it's
Okay.
fine.
All right.
I got permission
I
from
don't
the
want to break any news or whatever.
No, no, I
So
got permission from the band to show this guy. He's a little rough around the edges, but he works just fine.
oh,
And
I can't wait. I
but yeah,
cannot wait.
theoretically I'll be able to fill that tank with water. When I built it, you could fill the tank with water, but I've been too afraid to fill it again because in case it starts to put a leak or something, I'll have to
Yeah.
rebuild it from scratch. But anyway, that's what I've been working on, and there's no real explanation as to why he's got a brain in his tank. And
There's no need for it. It's just he's got a
he just
brain.
is what he is. He's just yeah. And
That's
but
cool.
he'll be playing a bass guitar in the
Oh, right
music video.
on. Right on. I can't wait to see that. My viewers are gonna probably love that too. For
Yeah,
real.
yeah. Well, yeah, check it out, Probot Animation on all the channels, and that's where you'll find me.
I really appreciate you taking the time and letting me talk to you about Alien 5 and Star Wars and all the other stuff we talked about. I had a great time. I really did.
One last thing. I just wanted to plug my Instagram channel because you'll see a little bit of different stuff there. Because I do sometimes toy photography rather than videos, and this one that I have my shirt of is got a little. If you see,
Oh,
it's Wicket being attacked by a squirrel, and I was able to do this. Like, I do a lot of weird stuff, right? And
that's
I always
okay.
do things the weird way, the hard way. So I literally trained the local squirrel population to come into my apartment and jump up on my lap and have nuts. So there's not all of them, but just a couple of them.
The ones that hang around your house.
Well, yeah, yeah, but not all of them. There's a lot around the house. But anyway, I one of them has been named Olive, and the other one was Theo. I believe this is Theo.
Oh,
But so what I did to get this shot, which is all in camera, there's nothing digital here.
wow.
So I set up a lot of my sets are most of my sets really are built with just paper printouts of whatever, with the paper printout like glued to a piece of foam board, right?
All right on.
So, it costs like $2. And so anyway, I got some photos of Endor, and printed them out and then glued them to my door. And so then, and hid the gap so that I could have the door just a couple of inches open, and have one part of the picture here and one part of the picture on the door, and so you don't see the gap. And then I covered the floor in dirt and stuff and leaves and plants and stuff. And I used an aquarium log that's like for terrariums or aquariums, that's hollowed out.
I know of those.
So I
Yeah.
and so I put Wicket on one end of it and my camera on one end of it with Wicket, and then I put some nuts into the log, and then I waited and had the squirrels come, and like two different squirrels came and did like the photo shoot with me.
Nice.
And so I just did it over and over and over again until I got just the right shot. And so that's what what I do with my time is train squirrels and like do some you know the weirdest, most roundabout way to get things accomplished sometimes is the way I choose to do things, like not the easy way. And
Creative way. That's what I
so
say.
but it ends up with something like truly unique, in my opinion. That's like
Absolutely.
something.
I would
So
have never thought to even, put an Ewok and a squirrel together, to be honest. I would have never thought that.
well, but the weird thing is that it happened organically, in that I started training the squirrels to come inside just to do that, just because I felt like it. Like I was making friends with them outside, and then I was like, well, you know what if I got them to come inside? And then my sister or whatever was like, well, why don't you do a toy thing? And I was like, oh, it's like, huh, what could I do? So there's some I set up a different shot where he's attacking some biker scouts, and so I set up some nuts on a speeder bike, and so I've got some of like a couple of different squirrels attacking some scout biker scouts, and then I was with some Ewok. Like I set it up so that the Ewoks set up the biker scouts to have them be attacked by the giant squirrels. So, but it was kind of convoluted. So I was like, I don't know if people are going to really understand what I'm trying to get at here. I need a simpler idea. So then I was like, what if this, the Ewok is just sort of trapped, and it's Wicket too. So,
I think it looks
and
cool.
not only is it Wicket, but it's a Wicket that I bought. I bought several cut cards online in the past like 10 years or whatever, which are like unopened Star Wars figures, but somebody had cut around the cardboard, so it's just the plastic bubble and the cardboard behind it, so it's
Oh,
not worth as much as like an actual sealed on the card
yeah.
action figure. So to me, it was like worth it to actually bust some of those open. So I've got several action figures that no one else but me and people at the factory have ever touched. So that Wicket
Wow.
is one of those. So to me, it's an extra special action figure that I never want to part with, because I never want anyone else to ever get to touch it.
I hear that. I understand that. You're like, "It's
And
mine. It's
so that's
mine."
the kind of weird kind of person that I am. And that,
No, you're
a
just
lot of
unique,
people would
man.
consider that blast, or, like, you know, an absolute crime to open a figure that's been sealed for so long. But to me, that gives me a unique kind of pleasure to sort of have my special. I've got a Luke, I've got a Han, I've got
Cool.
the Wicket, and some other ones that have never been touched by anybody else. Anyway, that's what I'm up to.
That's
You know,
awesome, man.
I've been making friends with the squirrels, and then I was lucky. That was me in the depths of my despair and my depression. That was my way of coping with being unemployed for the past year. And then I got in touch with an old friend, my friend Heather, and she was like, "Oh, we should do a music video for my new band." And so now I am like back and in my element, and I'm pulling out all the stops on this new music video. Every single trick in the book I am using on this new music video, and it is going to be so awesome. There's mixed media, there's rear screen projection, there's all these practical effects, there's a little bit of VFX sometimes to make composite shots, but it's as many practical effects as I'm able to do. And because for me it's all about practical effects, and it's going to be great. It's going to come out in a month or maybe 2 months. But that's what I'm working on. It's going to be so awesome. Replaced by robots. Check it out. Probotanimation. Check us out. Watch my latest stuff. It's really good. But it really warms my heart that people still enjoy the stuff that I did 25, 28 years ago at this point.
Well, we
And
appreciate it, man. We appreciate all that you've done, even the stuff I haven't seen, that people might be seeing this video and maybe they've seen and they enjoy it just as much as I've enjoyed your content. I
well, I
think you're
know
doing
Star
great.
Wars kind of sucks now, but Star Wars toys do not suck.
No, they do
That's the
not.
thing, is that I can't stop collecting toys because the toys they're making now are better than ever before. So I can't quit. I just can't quit collecting. You know.
I understand, we all got the collector's bug. I got it for games, you got it for toys, we all got it somewhere. So, I really appreciate you, again, taking the time out of your
No, I
day to answer
appreciate
my
you too,
questions,
man.
man, I really do.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, man. This has been fun. And
This has.
hello to the Frog Army. Join the Probot Army.
Absolutely, we
We
will.
can team up and overthrow the world.
Oh, that sounds like a plan, man. That sounds like a plan. Well, you try to have a good one, man. It's been a blast. I hope you
All
have a
right.
wonderful day, dude. I really
Thanks,
do.
Frog. Have a
Thank
good
you.
one, man.
Have a good one, man.
Take care.
You too. Bye.